Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god.
You voted for it, and so we were headed out to our first international trip at Algonquin Provincial Park in Ontario, Canada.
But first, we had to stop in Toronto to pick someone up. Hey! And then it was out of the city and into the outdoors.
With over 1,500 lakes and 1,200 kilometers of streams, canoeing and kayaking are the big draws of this beautiful place.
We headed to the visitor center to get our overnight parking and camping permit.
Then, it was back to the car to get our gear, and to the Portage store nearby to get our canoes.
Good to go.
After renting our canoes, we checked the map and reviewed our route. We'd be disembarking from the Portage store in Canoe Lake. We would head northeast through Joe Lake, before arriving at Burnt Island Lake, where we would camp for a night. The next day, we would head southwest and camp in Joe Lake for a night, before making our way back.
We loaded up the gear to the canoe, clipping our bags to the thwarts to secure them.
How you doing, Andrew?
Doing better than I ever have.
With our gear secured, it was time to head out.
As soon as we pushed away from the docks and glided onto the water, we knew this would be a great trip.
What is it about canoeing on a lake that's just so good? This boundless sense of joy that fills your heart. Or at least mine, I don't know about anyone else. So Thomas, how does it feel to be in Canada?
Well, one of the first things I noticed is that there's actually water here, and that it's not just sand and desert.
Some motorboats passed by in the distance, creating a wavy wake that glided across the water.
Oh, a little wavy, a little wobbly.
It's a big one. It's a big one.
Woo. Even the excitement is very peaceful. As we paddled on, we saw some loons swimming around, which reminded me of a previous wildlife encounter. So the first time I was here, right about there, I saw a big cow moose. No, a bull moose actually, with antlers and everything. It was just awesome seeing it there, splashing in the water as we canoed right up to it. Well, not right up to it, but pretty dang close.
So do you think we're gonna see any wildlife? I think probably either at dusk or dawn. For me, this is like perfect weather, but it might be too hot for them.
Oh, there's Thomas and Brian.
So you are going the right way. You want to go right at that landmass.
In front of you, not left.
So take a right where you are.
All right, copy that. We'll be right behind you.
Nothing like a little tactical canoeing.
Without experience, it can sometimes be hard to tell exactly where you're supposed to be headed. Islands can look like the shore and vice versa. It's always important to have a map and a compass handy.
While we made our way across Canoe Lake, Thomas entertained us with his whistling. And soon, we came across a sign pointing us to the next lake.
So this split up here kind of reminds me of that scene at the end of Fellowship of the Rings, where the two statues going like this, and we're both paddling up there like the Fellowship was.
After a couple of relaxing hours, we had made it to the opposite side of Canoe Lake. Now, it was time to portage our canoes and carry our gear to the next lake.
But first, a bathroom break. So at every, well, I don't know if it's every, but at most of the portage sites, they've got composting toilets that they want you to use. Which is really nice if you're number twoing, but it's right up this path.
This way?
Yep.
So is this the portage route, or is that the portage route?
No, that is down there. So.
Okay.
Yeah. So inside here, there is all this shaved wood that you can dump into the toilet every time you go. It's a composting toilet.
Well, if you don't mind, I gotta use this.
Along the portage route, there were many mushrooms, including some from the genus Sulis and the genus Amanita.
After resting a bit, Thomas and I hauled the canoes across the trail. Even with lightweight Kevlar canoes and a short path, portaging can be pretty cumbersome.
It's not as bad as I thought, but at the same time, I'm having a hard time keeping it flatter than I want it to be.
And when you try to readjust the canoe, you can get off balance pretty easily.
Come on! Ooh, bad idea. There you go.
I can feel my shoulders and neck getting very stiff. And you have to be careful not to let it catch too much wind, or else it just like blows away like a kite.
Before long, the portage was complete.
Next, it was back to the beginning to get our gear before heading out onto the water.
I'll stick around here. If you guys want to go get the packs.
Okay, so right now we are here. We're canoeing through this lake. That's the next major lake. Got a few small portages. We're up to this major lake again, and we're camping right around here. So hopefully we'll make it in while there's still a little bit of light left.
That's the plan. You need this. Freedom!
The thing about the portage is every time you get back out on the water, it's like the first time again. Shortly after paddling out, we passed underneath a bridge, leaving all the cabins, dams, and docks behind. Now, it was just us and the backcountry.
Morning haze lingered on the water's surface in some of the shady inlets, but everywhere else, the afternoon sun was steadily dropping.
Eager to get to our campsite during the day, we paddled a bit quicker.
And a pontoon boat passed by, creating some more wavy water.
We're in for some drop. Mammoth Cave was pretty amazing, but it just can't compare to this place.
This one, like, the water's blue, and you have so much more freedom out here because there's just so much space.
Yeah, it's so big.
Yeah.
Get out on a canoe and paddle on a river or a lake, and you'll soon realize that water is just as necessary for the spirit as it is for the body.
It didn't take long for us to get halfway across the lake. We spotted some landmarks and checked the map to make sure we were still headed in the right direction.
That there is the Arrowhan Pines Lodge, which means we're not too far from the Portage area. We're just gonna keep veering left until we hit the shore, and we'll be on our way. The lake narrowed as we got closer to the Portage, and the water surface was speckled with lily pads and sunlight.
Before long, the lake narrowed into a shallow stream nestled beneath the trees.
Okay, so we see the Portage sign right up there, but it looks like the stream keeps going. And if I recall, last time I was here, I was able to canoe through the stream a little bit, but I'm not sure how low the water is compared to last time. Water level might be a little lower. There's like a rock right there and it looks pretty shallow.
Portage it is.
Yeah.
This time around, we decided to carry both our canoes and our gear on the same trip. They were heavy, but it wasn't so bad for this short trail.
Oh, I see. This is going to slide.
Yeah.
No, keep going.
After that was situated, we decided to look around for some interesting plants and some birch bark for tinder.
Now, I don't know a whole lot about tinder, but I've heard that this is supposed to be great tinder. So, you want to save this for later?
Yeah, might as well. All these plants here with the parallel veins in the leaves, this is called bunchberry. It's actually a species of dogwood. The berries, a little bit earlier, maybe like a week or two before we came here, would have been like perfect ripeness. Supposedly they taste kind of mild, but if I see any, I'm gonna try them for sure. Okay, this plant is called false Solomon seal. As you see, the leaves have all dried up by now, but their stems have this sort of zigzag pattern. And at the end, there's this little panicle of berries, and the red ones are good to eat. Wow, that tastes like really sweet, almost like cherry soda or something. Pretty nice. Or iced tea. Down here are some blueberry bushes. I think we're a little past their prime now, but maybe in July or August you'd see a lot of nice ripe blueberries coming out of them. There was also Indian cucumber growing nearby, which has a small but starchy tuber underground. Actually, here I found some of the bunchberry that actually has some of the berries growing. Quite a bounty. There's some over here too, so I think we're gonna all give them a try, whether we want to or not. Bon appetit, as they say in Quebec. Let's hear what the other people have to say about it.
Tastes like a leaf, kind of.
I had the faintest hint of an apple when I first bit into it.
Like a crab apple.
I literally taste nothing. That's my reaction.
I think you just poisoned us all.
Bunch berries really don't taste like much, but that's certainly better than tasting bad.
As we got ready to paddle out, some other canoers passed by and informed us that the portage we had just done was actually unnecessary.
You don't need to actually do it.
Oh, okay.
That's a bump.
They learned the hard way the first time, so don't feel too bad.
We could canoe down a beautiful stream.
Damn it. But of course, there's no use in regretting the past. It was time to move forward.
We continued on through the stream and...
Oh. We just beached ourselves.
On a beech tree.
The stream was navigable, but its relative shallowness meant there were a few obstacles to get through.
Just up ahead was a beaver dam blocking the path.
Do we go through this, or we go... There's a Beaver Creek on the right, and then there's a Beaver Creek on the left. Actually, just let us try this, and then you guys just wait there. Yeah, this can't be possible. Okay, it must be the other way. It seemed too hard to paddle upstream over the Beaver Dam, so we decided to take the fork on the right and see if that was more promising. But alas, this was completely blocked. Maybe this is where you portage. Thomas and Andrew decided to give the first path another go.
You push that side up. Yep. There you go. Freedom! Come on, Scotty. You got to give it everything she's got. Good work.
With enough effort, we were able to get through. Now, we could enjoy the serene stillness of the creek for a little while.
Of course, what often seems like an inconvenience to us is invaluable to the ecosystem. Beaver dams and debris create specific habitats along rivers and streams, and they provide organic matter to the creatures living beneath.
Sometimes, instead of fighting the current of nature and shaping it to suit us, it's better to just go with the flow.
Further along, we saw rocks covered in colors that had been scraped off of other canoes. The stream was getting much shallower.
We had to get out and pull the canoes along, and the rocky bed of the stream wasn't exactly the most pleasant thing on our feet.
Now, we entered Lost Joe Lake, an isolated and beautiful little area. And we got a bit lost ourselves. No, we came out the right way. There's just right over there, there's another stream going to the next lake.
Oh, okay. Just over there.
We had paddled down the lake more than we needed to. The stream leading to the next lake was just across from where we had entered.
But the stream up ahead was again too shallow to paddle through, so we decided to investigate the portage trail.
Whoa! Damn.
It's doable, but it's long. First, we have to hit the actual portage trail, and then on top of that, we have to take the portage trail to the new lake, which is, I mean, we might as well do this. It's a little brambly at first, and I think we can carry it 2 people, but we will make like at least 6 or 7 stops along the way.
here, the mushrooms were decaying away, as if reflecting the transition of evening into dusk. This is Baby Joe Lake, last small lake before we have one more tiny portage, and then we get to Burnt Island Lake, which is a big one. That's where our campsite is. We will have to paddle down that lake a little bit, well, a good amount, but but this is the best time to canoe. It's like dusk, and it's such a peaceful time. And when things turn all blue and purple, that's even like more amazing. But
And when you're hiking and it's dark, it's a different story because you follow the trail and you'll come across the campsite eventually. But if you're canoeing and it's dark, you know, your visibility is very limited and you really don't know what you're looking for, and you could really just end up paddling all night until you find a place to sleep.
If you ever need to de-stress, man, you gotta come to something like this. Like, just kind of bobbing on the lake, complete silence, and then just a slight breeze just blowing. I kind of like wish I could sleep in the middle of the canoe in the middle of the lake. But I also want a fire and some food.
Tan Pants, come in. What was that noise?
Repeat?
What was that explosion sound?
Oh, I didn't hear it. That might have been us saying.
Tan Pants, come in. That noise, that was the noise that I heard earlier.
Yeah, then it was us.
Man, it sounded like an explosion from over here. The silence of the lake, combined with its amplifying effects, made every little sound echo through the air.
darkness overcame us as we made our way through the day's final portage. Under the last light of dusk, we paddled out onto Burnt Island Lake.
We decided to turn on our red headlamp lights so we wouldn't lose each other in the night.
Just across from the portage was a narrow area dotted with old stumps from trees long gone. It would be especially perilous to navigate at night. Yeah, sorry, we're just coming up to the area.
We're kind of heading out to the lake, so you give us a radio once you get through, okay?
Roger that. Oh, we just gotta watch that thing.
What's the plan? Are we going left?
Yeah, left, sorry. And I'm thinking on the left up here too.
Okay.
So there's a big log underneath us, but I think it's not too shallow. Whoa, this one kind of is. Oh. Okay, that's all right, we're fine. We're fine. Okay, I can see tan pants and fungi out there. Tan pants and fungi.
Did you survive?
Yep, we just made it through. We can see your red light in the distance.
Roger that. We're keeping going. You know, it's a little bit further than I thought.
Roger that. We're gonna paddle.
We paddled in the night, using the reflections of the hills to find our way through the dark. It's so dark, but it's not scary at all. It's just so welcoming, and we have the stars above us and the water. Most peaceful experience I've ever had. And in that peaceful moment, we saw something incredible.
Although you can reserve a spot on the lake, the individual campsites are first come, first serve. It took us a bit of time before we were able to find a campsite for the night.
We set up our shelters and got ready for a warm meal.
I'm not the master Andrew himself at this, and this is actually one of the first times I'm going to be doing it with natural tinder, but I'm going to try and start a fire. So this birch bark is just a little damp. Like I said, not the master himself.
Get a whole bunch of that and then pile that up.
Just put that in there. All right. Let's try again. It's just not catching.
Here, so like lay that out as flat as you can.
Okay.
I would go this way instead of that.
I'll with the bark.
You're gonna want to use birch bark too. That's yeah. Just, oh, no.
Yes! It's my first fire with natural tinder.
For dinner, I'd be making some steaks seasoned with salt, a family recipe. After the meat was done searing, we added some bell peppers and a bit of cheese.
Right, the problem with the meat is it's not cut. So you gotta let it cool down and then rip it off like an animal. It's good. It is everything you want. The only thing that could make it better is if the meat was actually cut. But, you know, there's something very satisfying about just picking up a piece of steak like this and
Extra fajita vegetables.
fajita vegetables. Ooh. It's gotta go.
They're really good.
It's gotta go. All this has gotta go. I'm not saving any of it. Brian?
That's some good steak right there.
That's good, man. The steak actually turned out really well.
Yeah.
We all warmed up by the fire, reflecting on the incredible night that we had had.
What a morning, man.
It's incredible.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
probably one of the best trips I've been on.
I woke up this morning and I was trying to figure out if last night was a dream or not.
The lake is so big and everything's so isolated. It's just so quiet and peaceful.
But everything echoes too. You could hear one person talk maybe a half a mile away. Sorry, about a kilometer away. It's kind of comforting to hear those sounds because it means you're not alone,
Yeah.
but you're still isolated. You still feel wild.
Yeah. So we're gonna get a fire started?
I hope so.
We got anything to cook up this morning? Or?
I think Andrew has something, so maybe once he sees the fire, it'll motivate him to get out of bed.
I again started the fire this morning using a ferro rod and natural tinder.
It was great to warm up by the fire, and soon Robby joined us.
And of course, it's time to brew some coffee.
While the coffee brewed, Robby shared some insight about an incident that happened in the middle of the night.
Okay, so last night we all heard those fox calls, right? Was it a fox?
No, it's the loons.
What are you talking about?
No, it was something.
Crazy. No, those are the chipmunks.
Whatever noise it was really loud, and I was like, man, I should probably just scream at them to make them stop. And I did it in a half asleep state of mind, and then just suddenly I screamed. Thomas,
I
was like, oh!
just like,
I was like, trying to process if that had actually happened. It was...
All right, so we got the Kobe blend. That'll warm you up.
And after coffee, it was time for breakfast. Not pancakes and maple syrup, but something a little more South American. Tapioca crepes with cheese. Just by adding a little bit of water, you'll hydrate this tapioca starch just enough for it to magically congeal into a crepe. I used a mesh bag to sieve the powder into a pan, but it's actually much easier to do this all by hand when you're camping. Once you add some cheese and fold it over, it's ready to go. Just make sure you've cooked it enough before serving it.
It tastes like cheese and dough. Sorry, Andrew.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one is looking infinitely better than the last.
Yeah, it looks perfect. Looks like a little nice something you get from a vendor.
Okay.
It's good. It's kind of like a quesadilla with a different chewy texture.
Is it better than the last?
Oh god,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Way better.
good. Alright.
Yeah, that's actually really good.
No.
It's like Lady and the Tramp.
Yeah.
And then it was time for a swim.
Put out the fire, packed up our things, and loaded everything up.
And with that, we were off, headed southwest down Burnt Island Lake. made our way through the Narrows, and before long we had made it back to the portage site.
Here we spotted a chipmunk munching on some nuts, and Robby spotted something a bit down the path.
Yo, we found a stream to filter water. Thomas is going to filter with his filter right now.
And after filling up on water, we enjoyed a short snack before portaging the rest of the way.
2, 3, right.
We quickly made our way across Baby Joe Lake, which, in the sunlight, felt like a watery courtyard surrounded by giant shrubbery.
The lake was isolated, which gave it a magical and mysterious atmosphere. It was a brief paddle across to the next portage trail.
How are you two weenies doing?
Weenies.
Quite a thing to say from second place.
Rather than canoe through Lost Joe Lake and walk through the rocky, shallow stream again, we decided to take the portage trail all the way to the deeper part of the stream, which would lead us back to Joe Lake.
As we paddled down the peaceful stream, we saw some other paddlers making their way over the Beaver Dam.
It was much easier on the way down.
That's a nice paddling, bud.
More grass and lily pads flanked either side of the stream, and underneath, small fish swam about. And every so often, there was a beautiful lily in full bloom.
We exited the stream, and on the horizon, the reddish lily pads contrasted with the green trees and blue water.
Further down the lake, we saw someone whose sailing rig had flipped over. Luckily, he was able to flip it back up, and we retrieved his paddle.
It was in the late afternoon when we came across a campsite, which Robby checked to make sure was empty.
Hello? Is anybody at this campsite? Hello? Hello? Okay. I believe this is our campsite if we want it then. I'm 99% sure there's nobody here. The 1% is nobody's here.
While I docked the boat, Andrew and Thomas had paddled a little ways down to see if there was another place to dock.
Hello? I'm gonna see what happened to Thomas and Andrew. Can I get a ride? Very inefficient. I think I'm just slowing you down, actually. Whoa, whoa.
With plenty of light left, we had found a great campsite. Now, it was time to enjoy the rest of the afternoon.
Come on in, dear. The water's fine. Woo!
That was a graceful belly flop.
Woo! After drying off in the sun, it was my turn to get a fire going. Oh, there you go. Crap, a big boy fell on it. Okay, no problem. I just gotta get some of those big guys out of there.
Oh, there you go. Round 2. You know what you need?
More shavings.
No. Take this. Crumple it up.
Yeah.
Crumple it up. There you go.
Where'd my twigs go? Totally just lost them. Oh, they're there.
Alright, you might want to put this in the fire.
Even for someone with little experience, birch bark is a fantastic and easy to use tinder. But the birch bark is like just such a great way to start fires, man.
For sure.
It's so effective.
With the fire going, I decided to make a little pot hanger for tonight's dinner. This deadwood was pretty brittle, but I had gotten lucky and found some greenwood someone had left lying on the ground. That would be much better for what I had in mind. And then it was time to prepare a vegetable stew. Dusk had fallen, and our stew was cooking. There's no better time to go for a paddle.
Places like this, how can they exist on the same planet where wars happen? You know what I mean? Like, they're just like the complete opposite of each other. And it's almost like if you could take the people who want to start wars and bring them to a place like this, would they still want to start the war?
It's always weird to me when people say that human nature is just vile and evil by nature. Like, there's examples of nature being violent and terrible, but then there's this, where it's completely peaceful. You see animals working together, coexisting and helping each other out. And I think it's really not a matter of humans are one way or the other, as much as it is, what do you want to make of it? There's just as many examples of good as there are bad. and it's up to us.
I have this particular theory of the world that really the point of existence is to tell a story. And for me, it's all about what story do you want to tell? And lots of people, I feel like they're telling the war story, they're telling the trials and tribulations story. And you know what? That's just not my story, man.
Being in a place like this can change your outlook on life. When you feel the peacefulness of the lake and hear the silence of the wild, you start to see the true story of things.
Instead of competition and greed, you see good in people and nature. Instead of wanting convenience, you focus on the things you need.
And that's when you can let go of the urge to control life and to control nature. That's when you can truly be water.
Back at camp, the stew had finished cooking, the hot dogs were roasting, and it was time to eat.
So there's this Korean noodle place, and they serve this amazing,
Like spicy jampong.
yeah, it's a seafood noodle, and it smells exactly like it, and it actually looks like it too.
We've got onions, carrots, potatoes, some sardines.
Herring.
Oh, herring.
Ooh, I like herring.
Cheers.
Borrow that spoon.
Yep. That's a success.
See, the root vegetables you can actually keep for quite a while.
There's nothing better than onions and potatoes in a stew. It adds so much like flavor.
This is yet another instance of me eating better in the wild than I do at home. You know what we need?
Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Thanks.
Cheers.
Let's reflect on how good of times this is right now.
I don't know the next time we're going to do this.
That's a good idea, Rob.
Those are really good flavors. Like,
You know who we really need to think about for this? Our patrons.
yeah.
They chose this place.
You know who we gotta thank? Diane. A loving mother of 2 kids and a loving wife.
You know who else? Mike Truong
Oh, yeah.
and his lovely wife Heather. Filtrate Eyewear, Greedo, Crom, and Willie the cat.
Absolutely. Can't forget Willie.
Hey, can't forget John Truitt.
Oh, Chicken John T.
Exactly, and his kids, Megan, Duncan, and Nathan.
There's Greg Cribb and Kieran Mockner. Can't do this without them either.
Good old Karen Mockner. I totally forgot to mention John and Anna Donnell. They're celebrating the 3-year wedding.
Really?
Congratulations.
That's a long wedding. Oh, you know who we almost forgot?
Oh.
Frank Daly.
You can't forget Frank.
He wants to shout out to Amber Jackson and Frank the Campfather Daly, representing East Tennessee. The way that it has all these different ingredients, it's like the way that there's so many different people who help us, like Sergio Perez,
Oh, God.
Jeremy Pruitt, like Hong Long, good old Paul Chandler.
Paul Chandler.
Hold on, what are we eating this out of?
Good old Jim Pot.
Good old Jim Potts.
Jim Potts.
We woke up before the break of dawn, and a thick fog covered the lake.
We packed our bags and loaded the canoes. The past 2 nights had been incredible, and now it was time for one last morning. The thick fog that engulfed us made it feel as though we'd been transported to some otherworldly realm.
We navigated in the fog, using the shore of Joe Island as a reference point.
As we paddled, the sun's first light barely shone through the haze. Just as we made it through the Final Portage, the sun broke through the fog, revealing a blue sky above.
To remember what's important, look back to the basics. Look to the water.
It makes up 70% of the planet's surface and 70% of our body. It's fundamental to our survival.
More than money or material things, water brings about spiritual renewal.
And as more of it goes away, it serves as a reminder that our priorities must be kept in check.
Because without water, we have nothing. When you're faced with the things that really matter in life, any concern for profit, competition, or ego all melt away.
When we obsess over things that don't really matter, we aren't really living life. We can't eat money, and we can't drink oil.
So let go of all that for a moment. Think about what's truly important, and remember, water is life.
Okay, the trip is over. It is time to get some coffee and a light snack. Maybe Thomas will actually eat. Go inside. Go inside anywhere. Doesn't matter where.
It's called Heavenly Hash. I wonder why.
Oh yeah.
At Philadelphia.
Philadelphia cream cheese in Canada, son. Morning coffee acquired. Arrived in Markham, and Wyatt and his wife are already here. We're gonna have some dim sum. It is gonna be fantastic. All right, I'll order for everybody. And that one there looks good. Here, well,
That's a salty soy milk soup.
Salty soy milk soup.
this is pig ear. This is beef tripe. This is jellyfish. And this is beef tendon.
Why don't I eat that every day of my life?
This is without a doubt the fanciest and most food we've ever gotten at a post-hike meal, but it's delicious.
Pig intestine.
Ready? Cheers.
Cheers, brother. That's some crispy pig intestine.
That it is.
That's actually really good.
Very soft texture. Nice crispy outside. That's good.
That actually tastes. You don't like it?
No. Really? I don't like that at all.
Good seeing you, Brian.
See you soon.
Hi, Thomas.
Thomas is asleep. Oh my god. Oh my god. He is passed out. Oh my god. He's not pretending even a little bit. We actually have to wake him up, so. Or should we wake him up? That's for stuff. Thomas. You were passed out.
I guess I was, yeah.
So hard. Anyways, it's time. We're done. We can go. We can go sleep.